Hello, everyone. We're here today with another bold conversation. She is the founder of Alaafia Properties, a property investor making bold moves, but her story didn't just start there. She was a Band 8 NHS nurse, thriving in leadership, trusted as a mentor, and respected in the system. But Esther Lara didn't just leave because she was struggling. She left because she had outgrown the box. From policies to property, from care plans to contracts, from secure titles to scalable freedom. Her journey was recently featured on Channel 4. She has built a wealth without losing herself, and she has turned her passion into property and impact, all while staying well-grounded in purpose. If you've ever wondered whether success means letting go of what you have built, let Esther remind you, you don't have to choose between purpose and prosperity. This conversation will shift your mindset and show you what happens when vision refuses to stay boxed in. Hello, Esther Lara.
Hello, obedience. That was a beautiful intro, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Before we even get into the pivot, can you take us back briefly to how you rose? How did you progress from band 5 to band 8? And what mindset helped you to keep climbing?
From student, I've always aspired for more, aspired to be outside of the bedside nursing. That's just always been my goal. I've always kind of been in search for freedom, if that makes sense. So my journey is a little bit wonky, I'll be honest, because I didn't go straight to band 5. I went into agency straight away, which is again quite bold to do from like being newly qualified. But then that was just because I knew that it would give me the flexibility, that freedom. So the freedom factor's kind of always been there. Then I thought to myself, okay, get yourself together because there's no consistency with that. But I had the freedom. So got myself a band 5. But I had also, prior to getting the band 5, worked as a deputy manager in a residential care home. And I think my nursing title actually helped me acquire that because I didn't have any managerial skills at all. But being a nurse, being able to kind of come in and just notice certain things, check BPs and all of that, that was something that in the community, they didn't really have that. They had like social workers and people that had just worked themselves up. That was like a real selling point for me to be able to work there. So then went back into the NHS, got band 5, but by then I already had community experience. So that was kind of like a leverage for me when I went back into NHS. Then I thought, band 5, I've already been a manager. Like, why would I go back to a band 5? However, the NHS system works quite differently. Just because you've kind of done residential outside, when you come back into the NHS, you need to like climb up. You can't just go straight into a 6 or a 7. So I did that, but I only did it for like 3 months because I knew that I wanted to like step outside. Did that for 3 months, then progressed into a band 6 role, which was in the community. So that role propelled me actually because I realized I was the only band 6. Everyone else was a 7. So I was the baby of the team really. But I stayed there and I knew that once a 7 came out, it's very likely that I would, be put forward for it, or at least I would have the expertise to then go for it. So did that. And just like I expected, so like 2 years after, the 7 opportunity came out, went for that. That was a role that I could kind of like do in my sleep because it was an assessment role. I'd kind of done it for quite a long time. And then I got to the point where I just felt like I wasn't growing. Although it was a 7, it wasn't actually managerial. It was more triaging, doing assessments and offering clinical advice. So I then started going into the managerial aspect of a 7, again, seeking opportunities, asking for responsibilities from my manager. So can I take on complaints? Can I take on anything that the manager does? I would kind of like volunteer myself to like be part of it. So that's kind of what I was doing. And then eventually got my 8. Prior to that, actually, I got my managerial role. So band 7, like a team leader. And then I got my 8 as a safeguarding lead, which was a secondment role. following that, I then got my permanent role as a governance lead. And that's where the shift happened, like being in governance and COVID happened. Yeah, I think that's where things changed for me in terms of the direction of nursing, because that's kind of the job role that I did that then pivoted to property.
And Esther, you didn't just leave a job though. You left a senior NHS post as
Yeah.
a band 8 nurse and boldly stepped into business. That is a legacy pivot. When you think back to that moment, what was the inner spark? Like, what was the actual spark that made you say, do you know what, I'm ready to move? What actually gave you that inner conviction, the vision to just say, you know what, I'm going and I'm going to leave boldly?
For me, I think it was, if I'm going to be honest, it was because I'd always aspired to be in a senior role or do better for myself. Like everyone who knows me at the time was like, yeah, I need a band 8, I need a band 8, I need a band 8. I was always working towards it. And then when I got the band 8, for some reason, something in me was just like, is that it? That's exactly how I felt. So now when you've reached the position where you've always wanted to be in, you still don't feel satisfied. You long for more.
Yes.
So naturally, there's the spark in you that just wants more. So you're naturally just like looking for opportunities. And I think once I found property, that was just a spark. That was just, okay, I found what I'm looking for. My main thing was reaching band 8. There's 8B, there's 8C. But for me, the beginning of everything was I wanted to get to band 8.
Yeah.
So when I got to band 8, which was my ultimate goal, and I still felt this sunkenness, it felt like there's just no point of going for a B or a C, or there's, for me anyway, it felt like there was just no point because that was my ultimate goal. Because I was exposed to property and exposed to what life could be like, that was it for me. And if I'm going to be honest, maternity leave was magical for me because I'm a workaholic. From 5 to 7, I'm always looking for the opportunity. I said to you earlier, the day I sit on my chair that I get the promotion, I say, well done, Esther, this is not your chair. And automatically I'm speaking to my supervisor, what do I need to do? What training do I need to do to get to band 6? I get to band 6, well done, Esther, this is not your chair. What do I need to do to get to band 7? I'm already mapping the same week that I get that, sit on that chair, I'm already mapping. Going on maternity leave, I didn't know that I like soft life. I didn't know. No, genuinely, I didn't know that I appreciate not working so hard because I've always just been that person who works hard, who's a grafter, but I didn't know that I actually like that life where you wake up in the morning, there isn't a rigid timetable, and money is still coming in.
Yes, yes.
It was the taster of that made me realize, how can I make this my actual reality? Because my first child, believe it or not, I didn't take maternity. I think I took 4 months and that was it. I was back at work. Whereas my second child, I took the whole 12 months. In fact, I even extended. That experience of not working and having money come in was what made me feel like, wow, this is sweet. How do you now make this your reality? Because I'd bought a property that was bringing in some income. And I said to myself, you know what? I just need 5 more of this.
Wow.
5 more of this, that will replace my income. And I can live this life, go to the park when I want, do this, do that. Money's still coming in. It was maternity that helped me realize that I actually enjoy the freedom of not necessarily doing the hustle and bustle every day.
That takes serious faith. And I love how you said, I didn't want to just, I knew that wasn't my chair. I love that. You don't just have to stay in one chair, that one chair, and you felt it within your spirit that this is not the chair that I want to sit.
The day I sit there, the day I organize my desk, I'm like, yeah, well done, but don't get comfortable here. This is not your chair.
I just love that. So what fears actually came up?
There's a book I read, which I always mentioned, everybody knows it with me, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, by Susan Jeffords. That book is what really helped me. And obviously prayer and God. But I was scared throughout the whole, look, I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
I've been a nurse all my life. This is all I know. Prior to doing property, I've had failed businesses. I used to sell bags Estelle Jules on Instagram. I was going into wedding planning at some point. I used to do eyelashes.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all things that I had tried and failed and still went back to nursing. I went back to what I knew, doing nursing, getting promotions, but all this time I was trying microblading. I spent so much money learning how to do these things. With property, because I'd already bought one and it was bringing in income, I kind of had a confidence that it was like solid because I'd done it by accident, by the way. So I'd bought it, rented it out, but it was bringing in some income. So I thought, oh, hold on, I can repeat this process like a few times. Then started looking into it. But in terms of fear, I was scared all the way through. The day I messaged the estate agent for my first rent to rent, I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but whatever. And then they said they're going to give it to me. I was like, my hands were shaking. I was like, they said they're going to give it to me. And then I sent the money. I was like, oh my God, I've sent them the money. Oh my God. And then they said to pick up the keys. I was like, they said I need to pick up the keys. What do I do now? Like, for me, I'm just like a robot because at the end of the day, I'm a nurse. I've never been in this space before.
Exactly.
They've been there before. Through my knowledge of like researching them and like doing all these things, they've gone through all the hurdles that I could potentially go through. So I'm just trusting them. I'll be honest, I am a bit delusional, to be honest. And I think as a mental health nurse, the word delusional has like other connotations to it. And that's not what I mean by like delusional, but I mean delusional in the sense where you're thinking about success and you're thinking about where you can be and you're unapologetically delusional about what
Yes.
heights you can reach.
Yeah.
If you told me I can make $1 million tomorrow, I'm going to make it.
So for those who are watching, who aren't deep within the property world, what kind of properties do you actually focus on?
At the moment, so it has changed over the years, but at the moment, currently, it's HMOs. So what HMOs is house of multiple occupancy. I've found a way to tie my nursing into the property. I buy rundown houses, do the renovation, and then I re-rent them out to, many social housing or supported living companies. So they tend to house people with learning difficulties,
Okay.
mental health needs, or children in need, that kind of thing.
If you can give us like a clearer picture of that lane, and more importantly, what do you love about it and why did you actually choose that specific?
For me, I mean, I'm a nurse. I have this thing where, as much as I do prefer what I'm doing now, I just feel like you said earlier, I think nursing is a bit spiritual in the sense where once a nurse, always a nurse. Although I do enjoy property, I did enjoy nursing as well. And it's still my roots, is my foundation. I'm finding a way to merge my passion with what I enjoy together, if that makes sense. So I think initially it was just, oh, I'm doing property while I'm making like, better money. But then when I found what I actually wanted to do, which is the BRRR strategy, which is buy, refurbish, refinance, rent, I'm like, okay, how do I merge my background from nursing into this? And I found that, okay, there's a gap here. I know that in the health industry, they're always looking for houses, they're always looking for, where to accommodate these sorts of people. So I was like, okay, I can do that since I'm in the property space. So I can wear two hats. I could provide the houses and I could also give back to the community, also provide an accommodation. And that's kind of where things took off for me, if that makes sense. So that was like my thing. One, giving back. Two, being able to provide accommodation for like people who need it.
What are the moments that has actually stood out for you and that's made you actually pause and say, yep, I'm not going back. I'm not turning back. Has there been a moment that you said, you know what, or you doubted yourself and said, you know what, maybe I have to go back to nursing?
Do you know what? I feel that all the time. And I don't want to glorify property and be like, oh my God, it's been amazing. No, the journey has been so rocky. So in the beginning, it was great in the sense where, well, there were loads of hurdles. So for example, I was doing rent to rent. So rent to rent is so demanding in terms of actually finding the properties because it's a thing where you have to convince the landlords to actually obtain the property. That was very challenging in itself because I could see people ahead of me and I can see what they've achieved. And thankfully, I came across people who were actually transparent about the journey and was like, if you're not getting rejected, then you're not doing it right. Rejection is actually part of the journey. It's not like, oh, I decide to call a landlord today and boom, I've got the keys. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So if you're not getting rejected, then unfortunately, you're actually not doing it right. The fact that you're getting rejected shows that you are making enough calls to even get rejected. Just seeing other people like myself, Black, young people doing it. And in my head, they don't have two heads.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, if they can do it, I can do it. So that was a defining moment.
Yes.
And then personally, it was acquiring the keys. So I said to myself, wow, you got one key. You obtained one key, which means you can repeat the process and obtain however many more, because you've got the blueprint. You know what to do, you know what to say. And then when I started doing like more advanced strategies like the BRRR, the defining moment for me was because I don't use any of my money to buy property. I raise funds and I give people the opportunity to grow their funds through a fixed return rather than leaving it in the bank. So the defining moment for me was actually raising those funds, because it's a mindset shift. It's like, who's actually going to give you money for real? I tried it again, dummy to learning, turn left, turn right, do this, do that, did it, and actually ended up raising over 100,000 for my latest project. And it was like, it felt like, you know, those ads you see. You can buy money without using any of your own property.
Yeah.
You see those ads all the time, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, I actually did it. Like, I actually did it. Went ahead, bought the property, refurbished it, did all of that stuff. Again, because my strategy is re-renting it out to social housing. Did that. It works. It's not just an advert that you see. Some people do adverts, but actually putting it into action was like, oh my God, like I actually did it. Yeah, just being able to like go back to that moment where I had the maternity leave and feeling like, how do I make this my lifestyle, and being able to do it. And then also being able to, one, get paid while you sleep, and just being able to leverage different opportunities. So leveraging time, and also leveraging, for example, when you have equity in your property, you know, if you've bought a property like you've had it for a while, there's income in that property that you can leverage to either go off and buy another one or use it to, you could do anything with it, really. The smartest thing to do would be obviously start a business or make more money with it. But when you look at the mechanics of like property and what you can actually do, it just makes sense. Typically, you know, people do advise that you start off with small buy-to-let and then you progress into HMOs, because HMO is considered to be quite an advanced strategy. Well, one of the advanced strategies. You've got strategies that are like more advanced, like developments and like building from ground up. But in terms of like buying property and like doing it up, HMO is quite advanced. The reason why I chose HMO is because if you do a buy to let, for example, your profit is going to be around, let's say, £200 a month. However, with a HMO, your minimum profit could range between, let's say, £600 to £1,000. That's minimum. That's like a small buy to let. A baby HMO could profit you between like £650 to £1,000. If I'm a nurse, for example, my income is £4,000, and I say I'm going to do a HMO and I want a minimum of £1,000, I know that all I need to do is 4 HMOs to replace my income.
Wow.
So that's why I decided I would rather get educated on the topic, go for the more advanced strategy with the education and knowledge that I have, rather than, you know, have multiple properties and I have 200. When you do one property or when you do like a HMO, you still have to speak to builders, go through conveyancing, it's the same process. So the way I see it is like driving manual and driving automatic. If you can drive manual, you can drive automatic. Yeah, it's like 2 for the price of 1, basically. I didn't feel the need to go back into a full-time job, but that's why I always say I keep my pin. I've always kept my pin, do little things here and there to keep my pin. So there were times where I was like doing a little shift here and there,
Yeah.
just to give me that extra income to fund this bridge that I was on, because it's an extra £1,000 and my circumstances had changed. But in terms of getting a full time, I just knew I didn't want to get a full time, but I needed the extra night shifts to help me with the
Yeah.
bridge.
But what projects are you currently working on? Is there something that you would like to share with us?
So I've just finished one actually. I'm currently on the lookout. I've got a few in the pipeline, two in London. I'm looking at Kent. Again, it will be HMOs because that's the strategy that I'm focusing on at the moment. And again, working with investors. So I'm always looking for investors if anyone's interested. I think people have this perception that investors are like, people in a suit or they need to be some sort of like professional. But investors, literally anyone who has money in the bank and they would like better returns than what the bank gives them.
And what is one unexpected challenge that shaped you that ultimately sharpened your edge overall?
This project that I just did, oh gosh, I went through so many hurdles. With my builders, I had done everything to the book. So I had gone through two recommendations. Two of the recommendations were my mentors. I had gone to different sites that they had, like doing everything to the T. So what I've learned is even when you do things correctly, sometimes things can go wrong. I would, in my next project, make sure that if I have a project manager, the project manager is not part of the build team. If they're external from the build team, when they come and they say, okay, this should have been done, this should have been done, there's not a collective understanding or an excuse as to why it hasn't been done. Because what I find is when the project manager is part of the build team, they're all singing from the same hymn book.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say, oh, this should have been done by this date, the project manager is going to tell me, oh, it's because XYZ and it's because XYZ. Whereas if it's an external person, they're not going to have the understanding that, oh, we're doing this project, we're doing that project, we're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely one thing that I would be like implementing in my next project. I've definitely taken the principles of nursing into my business. Nurses love a reflective practice.
We are.
We love a reflective practice. We love a debrief. We love all of that stuff. So I've definitely taken that back. And I didn't mention actually, one of the challenges that I faced was the jargon. The jargon in property. When I first started, I'm a nurse. I don't understand all this stuff. So I had to mentally qualify it to nursing for me to understand it. Going to a property, I've had to say, okay, so going to the property, in property is called a viewing, but in nursing, it's called a presenting complaints. In nursing, we call it a care plan, but in property, it's called a schedule of work. And that's how I've had to literally
Together. Oh.
put it together. And then in property, we call it an exit plan. Whereas in nursing, it's called a discharge plan. I was like, okay, that in my head, when I'm hearing them speak, I'm like, okay, so that's the presenting complaint, that's the care plan, that's the exit plan. And then, your team, you talk about your build team, your solicitors. I'm like, okay, that's the MDT. I've had to really make myself understand the property jargons in nursing terms.
But how long did it take for you to actually get into it though?
I think what I did was I was always going to networking events, like property networking events, enjoyed the mastermind.
Okay.
I think when you deliberately and intentionally put yourself in these situations, you just pick it up. You pick it up because everything's abbreviated. Like, for example, the GDV, LTV. I was like, what is this? There was one meeting I sat in, I was like, what the hell are they talking about? Like, I'm hearing LTV, I'm hearing GDV, I'm hearing buy to let. I was like, what is this?
Oh, so you had a little book handy.
I'm not gonna lie, they were even going too fast for me. I couldn't even catch it. You can take little notes and then you go back. It's like loan to value, okay, gross development value, you start to pick things up, and the more you surround yourself with like-minded people doing the same things, you just pick it up. Same with nursing. It's almost like we didn't know everything all in one day. We pick it up gradually.
I think that was actually your advantage.
Yeah. It would just be a matter of like learning the ropes. And then once you get it, you can just run with it. Sort of thing.
But you know, Esther, I've noticed something. Here
Yeah.
in the UK, nurses often feel guilty for striving for more. There's
Yeah.
almost like this unspoken pressure to stay humble, stay put,
Yeah.
and just keep your mouth shut, humble, and not want too much. But in places like the US, ambition is like a flex. Why do you think this difference actually exists? Is it the system? What is it?
I've been doing a lot of public speaking recently, and I find that in some settings, it's almost like rather than people like celebrate, like, wow, like show me how, it's more like, oh, look at her. She left nursing. Like sometimes I feel
Yeah.
that energy, and
Mhm,
sometimes I get the energy like, yeah, we are nurses to the day we die. Like there's that sort of like celebration of we are nurses, and that there is like obviously the world needs nurses, but I do say
mhm,
in my talks, I've done all these things. I still keep my pin.
mhm.
One, two, as much as you're thinking about all these people and other people, think about yourself and your family. So there is this sort of unspoken kind of looking down on people who have decided to like strive for more. I
Yeah,
definitely do
yeah,
feel
yeah.
that. And I think it may be due to the system,
Mhm.
and I think it's heavily to do with fear as well. Nursing is considered to be such a secure job that it's almost like
Yeah,
why would you do anything else? But I think
exactly.
it's a limiting thing. It's a limiting thing. Like even my mom till today would still be questioning, are you sure? Are you sure?
And when she saw the money coming in, she was like, "You are sure, isn't it?"
Yeah, but even then, like she's because of like raising funds is not easy.
Oh,
Raising
yeah,
funds is not easy.
yeah,
So she
sure.
sees the stress I go through. She still sees it, and even though the money comes in, she's just like, "Are you sure? This
Mm,
this
mm,
thing is hard.
mm,
This thing
mm,
is
mm, mm.
until the storm like is over. For example, like I finished this project, and it's like, oh wow, this is a really good business. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because nursing is like a security, isn't it? We feel like even when COVID came, it's like a lot of people were saying, "Oh, if you see you're a nurse, if you weren't a nurse, how would you even get money?" You know, everything
Yeah.
was just
I think it's the system, but I think it's also that emphasis on the fact that nursing is a secure job. Like no
like,
matter what happens, you will always find a job. I think that's why people look down on you if you do anything else
mm.
because they're like, why would you leave such a secure job?
What would you say, what skill for that person who is actually stuck in the bedside thinking, "Oh my goodness, how am I going to pivot in here?" What advice would you give them?
Few things. So these are literally active steps that I took for myself. So it's thinking bigger. It's thinking beyond your current circumstances and actually believing that you can achieve. Because
Mm,
once it's here, it can be done.
absolutely.
And what really helps that is self-development books. I'm
Mm,
going to be so honest. So I can give a few. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, the one that I mentioned earlier,
yeah.
Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by
Mm,
Susan Jeffords. There's also Think Rich, Grow Rich,
mm,
Napoleon Hill.
mhm.
That book literally gives you steps on what you need to do,
Wow.
literally. And I thank God for actually taking those steps. And I think as Christians, we always feel like, oh, the ministration has to come from church or
Mm,
the ministration has to come from a pastor, or sometimes it's just a book that you've
well,
read
yeah, yeah.
and people don't read enough books.
Mm,
I personally don't really like sitting down reading a book because I'm always busy on the go. So I've downloaded Audible, and when I'm going for a long journey, that is what I listen to because
mm.
it feeds your mind and it helps you think beyond like your surroundings and where you are. So those are my top three books I would recommend. Trust me, when you read these books and you actually apply
Mm.
what they suggest, you won't even like realize you're just going to look at yourself 12 months later and think, oh my God, like I just joined a mastermind
Mm,
from just doing that one thing.
mm,
And look, I'm just taking it because naturally when you surround yourself with people doing certain things, you know that saying your network is your net worth.
mhm.
You just start to emulate what they're doing. If you're striving for more, you've put yourself in a position of people that are doing more.
Yeah,
Naturally, you're the next person.
that is fantastic. Thank you so much, Esther. Have you got any
Thank you.
other words, any last words that you want to inspire us on?
I think it's literally just believing in yourself, really. Be delusional, honestly. When I say delusional, be delusional about what it is you want to achieve and work backwards. So let's say I want to earn £1 million. You're going to study somebody who earns £1 million and think, okay, what can I do on a day-to-day basis to move me closer to that goal? What can I do on a monthly basis to move me to that goal? Or maybe let's just say, let's start even smaller, because I feel like 1 million is like, oh, sometimes it can feel a bit overwhelming. So let's just say I want to earn an extra £1,000 a month. You look at your £1,000 a month, then you think to yourself, okay, what can I do to every single day? And even if it's just something as small as I'm going to send an email every day, I'm going to reach out to this person every day, I'm going to look for opportunities that helps me get £1,000 every single day. Trust me, I don't believe that you can do that consistently and not reach that goal. You will. Opportunities will come to you. You're putting it out there so you can receive it back.
Yeah.
It will happen. So I would say start with the small things. And when you get the confidence that it actually happens, then you could be like, okay, I've reached the £1,000 a month. That gives you a confidence boost.
Wow.
So, okay, I can give it 2,000. And then when you get more delusional, you can say, you know what? It worked for 1,000. It worked for 2,000. I'm going to try 1 million now.
You went to the YouTube
Yeah.
Nurse, hosted by, is it Lisa Daniels?
Lisa Daniels,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
sure you're watching
Thank you for her.
Lisa Daniels. What advice did you give to the room? And what I'm sure you were flooded with so many questions. How was that event? How was it like? Talk us.
It was a really good event. I had a short segment, but my main advice was, just like I mentioned, as much as we are nurses and as much as we like give so much to other people, let's think about us as well sometimes, and let's create wealth and build wealth outside of our nursing. So not necessarily encouraging people to quit their job. I'm not an advocate of quitting your job. Although I've quit my full-time job, I still have my pin. That's what I'm encouraging. So just encouraging, like, you know, like if that's what you want. Some people are happy being nurses and they want to do that. But if it's fear that's stopping you from kind of stepping out of that and exploring what's possible, go for it. And obviously I offer coaching. So I was just encouraging people that I'm someone who has gone through what you've gone through. I'm someone who would have likely experienced what you've experienced. So as I offer coaching, and I'm a nurse as well, I'm more than happy to kind of walk you through that journey.
Thank you so much. But you know, real estate, it is a job and a half itself. Do you think best to do it as a full-time or a side hustle?
I think people have this misconception that, you know, real estate, they're going to be doing this and they're going to be doing that. Look, I have no business picking up the hammer because I'm not a builder. My job really is to find the house and get the money. That is it. So I go into viewings, I okay the property, I call my solicitor, I'm happy to go ahead with this property. Other than that, I've got no business really getting involved in any other thing. The stress of it sometimes may be, okay, the solicitor hasn't got back to you as soon as you expect them to, or the builder hasn't got back to you as soon as you expect them to. But other than that, you're not responsible for picking up a hammer, or you're not doing the work yourself, because you're not the builder, you're not the electrician, you're not the plumber. You've got no business doing anything like that. So it's not as stressful as people make out. I think people may think that. I don't necessarily need to go on site. If I go on site, it's because I'm creating content and I'm trying to showcase what I'm doing. Other than that, you don't necessarily need to go on site.
That is really flexible.
Very flexible, especially like if you're a mum with kids. I take my kids to my viewing.
Oh.
Yeah, they come along with me. They are, Mummy, do we have a viewing today? Yes. You know, oh, we're going to the property today. So it just works with my schedule, my lifestyle.
It's a very good job for mums to get into that.
100%.
That is really, really good, because I'm sure there's a lot of mothers thinking, what am I going to do? I've got kids to feed, and like I can't just be running up in the ward or doing other things.
Exactly.
It's really good. Basically, it's very good for mothers as
100%.
well.
Need a viewing, that's fine. Kids get in the car, we're all going together. I'm happy with the property, call the solicitor. I'm good to go. Get the funds, and that's it.
Wow. Okay. Okay, that is really, really good. And Esther, for those who have not yet found your legacy, where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram, Alaafia Properties, LinkedIn, Esther Lara. So it's Alaafia Properties, Esther Lara. I am joining YouTube soon, so look out for that. And Facebook, Esther Lara.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Esther. Any final words?
Go out there and be great.
From NHS corridors to property portfolios, Esther's journey is proof that your career can be the foundation, not the ceiling. If her story lit a fire in you, don't let it burn out here. Rewatch, share it, and subscribe. Let it remind you that you're one decision away from a new chapter. I'm Obedience Abroby, and this is Prosperity Gate Talks, where visibility becomes legacy. Until next time, keep rising, keep building. Don't say nobody told you. Walk through the gate.